No.
Okay.
I hate sitting on the bed to talk.
Well, if we sit somewhere else, though, the kids are gonna be... Okay. Alright, hey guys, I'm sorry, it's been a heck of a weekend. Alright, so it's Jen and Kurt. I will stop laughing. We decided now would be a good enough time to talk about...
As good as any.
To talk about just some life stuff, changes,
Updates, plans.
So, you've seen we've been doing a lot of decluttering, a lot of cleaning stuff out. We sold 2 of our goats, our babies that I thought we'd have for their whole lives, and Cora, our other goat, is waiting to go to her new home. So, and I've said multiple times that we'll explain kind of what we're thinking. And I haven't, so we're doing that now in a roundabout way. We'll get there. I'm a rambler. So, we bought this house 3 years ago, and we totally thought this was it. Like, we were never leaving. Like, this is our dream home. And the way that it all happened to even get this house was a miracle. Just the way that it all worked out. We should at some point sit down and talk about the whole saga of the house, because it's incredible the way that it all worked out. But so that was the thought. And then a few months ago, I guess I'm the one that brought it up, I kind of asked Kurt, like, well, is this where we want to be? We're in an HOA. There are lots of rules. We only have, well, it's just under 1.5 acres, which I know you can do a lot with that much land. But we are also, like, right in the middle of our neighborhood, like on the main road through our neighborhood, and we're kind of like down in the bottom kind of this meadow, or in a lower point of the meadow, and so all the houses up around in the hills can like look right down in our yard. And we've had people like walk by on the road and like take pictures of our goats. Like, there's no privacy for us, like, at all, our whole yard. And that really bothers me. And then there's all the rules. Like, we're not allowed to have pigs or cows or
Sheep.
We can't have sheep.
I mean, even what we have is semi-questionable.
Yeah, we're allowed to have chickens. But the goats, it doesn't say anywhere in our rules that we're not allowed to have goats. But we still had a neighbor complain about our goats. Not because he didn't like the goats. Kurt's on the HOA board, and so he was just making a stink. Like, the HOA board members need to follow the rules.
We're on community water, and it does say that community water is just for personal, regular, everyday household use, not for livestock. Which, again, everything we have could be considered, again, depending on whose definition of livestock you're using. And so, I mean, it's all kind of gray area, and so...
And our neighbors water their lawn, and they're on the community water, too. And I'm like, alright, whatever, I don't... So, there's just a lot of rules, and for what we want to do, and the fact that we really like our space and our freedom to do what we feel is best for our family, what we want to do, being stuck in an HOA with all these rules where everybody stares into our yard is just not really what we would like. Which is hard. I love this house so much, and we've put a lot into the house. Kurt learned how to do drywall because we bought this house. We're really, really good friends with the man who built the house. He's our neighbor just down the road. So it's hard to think of leaving the house, but at the same time, I can't like pick up the house and take it with me. So.
And this was definitely a learning experience. We've learned a lot here. Just animals, raising them, starting out there. Gardening, we've learned a lot of what not to do.
It's tough to grow stuff up here.
And so, we felt like it hasn't obviously just been a wasted 3 years.
No, it's been a fantastic 3 years. We just kind of got to a point where we couldn't really expand and grow. We had to either drastically change what we really wanted out of our life and our, for our family so that we could stay, or we had to go somewhere else. So we were looking at a couple different places in Idaho. We looked at, Swan Valley?
Swan Valley.
And we really didn't see anything that was kind of what we wanted. I really like the mountains, but... and we looked kind of up, like, northern Idaho, like Panhandle, like Sandpoint, that kind of area. We wanted to stay in Idaho. There's some really great places in Montana, but we really didn't want to go to Montana. And so we were actually going to list our house this spring. We had a friend of ours that's a realtor come out. She looked it over. She came out with her broker. They both looked it over. We were really serious about it. And then we kind of talked to each other. We're like, I feel like we need another year. We just do. There's projects we want to get done. We really don't want to rush and try to do all that now. And we wanted to be able to go up to Sandpoint and kind of go around to different parts of Idaho that we were looking at and actually see them in person and just kind of get a feel for it. But it still felt really fuzzy, I guess, when we were looking at things like, well, we could rent for a while and we could build, or we could try to get a house that's already done, or like there's all these options, and we just weren't seeming to get a clear direction that we wanted to go. And we are religious, and we have been very prayerful about this and tried to pay attention when we were praying, to see what maybe God was telling us that we needed to do. And I had the thought, as soon as we said, let's take a year and still stay here and try this next year, I'd had the thought, okay, well, what if we took a year and we went to Missouri? I'm from Missouri. We lived there for a while. I grew up there. And just take a year, go back there, rent, and see how we feel with fresh eyes. Because when we lived there before, we were very different people, and we didn't want the same things that we want now. So I had that thought, and I didn't say anything to Kurt because I thought he was going to be like, that is crazy. Like, no. And I'm like, okay, I can't say anything because I already say crazy things, so I can't spring this on him. So I just kept it to myself, even though I kind of kept thinking about it. And I knew that he'd be like, no, because I've always said I'm never moving back to Missouri. And I have my reasons, but one of them being I have terrible seasonal allergies, and they're worse in Missouri. But I can't even,
Well, it was after my other crazy thought yesterday of going and getting new chickens.
Yeah. We decided 2 hours before the hatchery closed that we were going to drive an hour and a half to go pick up some more chickens.
And I think we were just talking, and I brought up, I said, we've talked about moving. Again, as Jen said, we're fairly prayerful. And I've been trying to just ask, where is it we need to end up? And I said, no, this is crazy. But what are your thoughts about possibly, I go, Missouri, I know it's not great for your allergies and other things. But what are your thoughts there? And she, again, jokingly was able to say, well, I've been thinking that for a couple months and didn't want to say anything. I said, well, I've been thinking it for the last month or so as well, but couldn't think of a nice way to bring it up without getting slapped.
He did several times, like, covertly, because he works with real estate agents and their websites and things, and we have a pretty big base in Missouri for the company he works for, and oh yeah, land's a lot cheaper in Missouri. There's some really nice houses, and I was like, okay. That's weird. But, so once we both realized that we'd both been thinking the same thing, and we had a very kind of the same thought process, and it was a very clear thought process of we want to go and we want to rent on a little bit of acreage, not in town, not too close to a city, so that we're allowed to have our dogs and have chickens and garden and things like that. And we want to do it for either 1 year or 2 years before we make up our minds. Yep. And we're just gonna try it out. And if it turns out that that's not working out, we don't feel like we want to like put down our roots there, then we will come back to Idaho. I love Idaho. I I'm not keen on leaving it, honestly. I really enjoy Idaho. I think it's beautiful, especially the area that we live in. I feel like Sandpoint is still a great potential place to go.
Yep.
But maybe not right now.
No.
You know.
Something's telling us we need to, not something, you know, through prayers, we're something weird. But we definitely feel that, you know, right now, and well, not right now, here, at least in a year, you know.
Next spring.
Next spring or so, you know, Missouri is where we need to be for a little bit. Get some more things figured out. And
there's lots of like other like the details and things that we're like working out that like reasons that maybe we feel like maybe that's where we're supposed to be for a while. In my family, I have family that lives in Missouri, and this is going to sound mean. I would never move somewhere just to be close to family unless I specifically had to like take care of them, like as a caretaker situation. I would never move for family. That's just, I know a lot of people do. And I love my family and I love Kurt's family, but like, it's just not why we would ever go somewhere. So my family being in the state of Missouri is not the reason we would pick Missouri. We both actually, there's a lot of things we like about Missouri. There's a lot of things we don't like. But there's a lot of things that we do like, and that was just where we felt like we should go. If I'd had the thought Arkansas, I would have gone to Arkansas. And being from Missouri, we kind of have an area that we like. It seems to miss some of the worst weather. You know, I grew up outside of this little town, and there's like a ton of little towns in Missouri, so we kind of have an area in mind. But, I mean, that could change. And we could completely change our minds by the time next spring rolls around, but...
Well, and there's still a number of things. We've got to get this house on the market. I have to be able to do some major changes at work with servers.
Because currently
they're close. I manage them, and they're close to me. And I need to get them more just up in the cloud, just so I can manage them more easily from anywhere and not be worrying about hardware.
It's always stressful whenever anything happens to the servers.
And so
it's super, super
a
stressful.
number of things that still have to happen before we can completely
And he would have the same job, luckily. It's, other than the servers being nearby, it's all done online and over the phone. He doesn't have to, like, he's not tied down to a specific location. As long as he's got good internet, he's good to go. So it's not a big deal us moving work-wise.
Like I said, internet's the big thing. That was even, you know, the question in Sandpoint area, just making sure because we do want acreage, but as you get more acreage, your internet a lot of times gets...
Because you have to go further away from town and things like that to get that...
speed and quality.
So...
Or what we want, and that lacks the speed and quality sometimes. So.
And we could, I mean, and we were going to just sell the house and go to, like, somewhere else in Idaho, but honestly... We've looked at some numbers, and we're working really hard to pay off our debt. We're doing Dave Ramsey's plan, and we're trucking. You know, we're keeping in line with it, and we're doing well. But if we sold this house, with all the work that we've put into it, even if we don't completely finish it, we'll have a pretty good chunk of change there, and we'd be able to pay off, if not all, really close to all of our debt. And things are cheaper in Missouri. We could go rent a place. Doesn't need to be this big. This is a really big house. We can go rent a place with some acreage for quite a bit less than we're paying for our mortgage right now. And so that extra money, plus the extra money that we've been paying on bills, we can save that up and have a really nice down payment for wherever we're wanting to go. And we were planning on using the money from selling this house as a down payment, but being able to pay off our debt and save up, the numbers just work a lot better if we do something like go to Missouri and rent for a year or two. So that's the current plan. We could have waited until next year to sell the goats. I originally started to get them ready to sell because I thought we were going to list it this year, but that's not happening. But I went ahead and I sold them. We're trying to, there's so many projects to do in the house. The house could use restaining. There's still drywall and mudding and taping and painting. And there's a lot of things that we do want to still get done on the house. and just trying to cut back on things that are maybe stressful or are expensive. We weren't ready to breed the goats this year and get goat's milk from them, and so other than being super adorable and us loving them, they really weren't giving back at all. Whereas the chickens were getting eggs, and we eat a fair amount of eggs, so the chickens make sense. Their feed's not as expensive. We free range them during the summer, so they're eating bugs and all kinds of stuff, and we don't have to worry about their feed as much over the summer. Whereas the goats, while they can eat the meadow grass, they still require more maintenance, and there's more that goes into the goats when we're not getting anything back. It just didn't make sense. And we wouldn't be able to move with them. It would be too stressful to try to haul them all the way somewhere. Like the chickens, we wouldn't be taking them. I think the plan is to only take Freya and Mercy, our 2 dogs. And that's going to be hard enough as it is. Mercy's huge. She's huge, but I can't leave her. So
Well, we still want to travel around parts of Idaho just to, again.
this year, this summer, we'd still like to go look around so that after our little Missouri stint, if we decide not to stay there, we'll have a better idea of where we want to go when we come back. We've looked around in this area. We have really great friends here, and we love it here. The mountains are so gorgeous, but trying to find land that is not in an HOA and doesn't have CCNRs, that is not either crazy expensive or like way out there where we wouldn't have decent internet is
'cause you
almost
go
impossible.
just 5 miles away from here, and there no electricity, and
Which we can't do.
which not plausible right now. So
there's just not anything here. We've looked, so we can't really stay here and do what we're wanting to do. So that's why we sold the goats. That is why we're decluttering and purging. I really do love our house, but we have a lot of stuff. And I guess by like most standards it's not a lot, but I feel like it's a lot, and thinking about trying to move with all that stuff is just, I'm not doing it. So we're going to continue to downsize. We're going to do projects on the house. We're still going to keep our chickens until like the last possible moment because I love my chickens, but we have a lot of local friends that will either let them come out and pick who they want to take. We can sell some. So the chickens are not as worried about rehoming. The goats were a little harder.
yeah.
But that's our update. Sorry if it was rambly. I'm rambly. That's how I talk. If you have any questions, please comment below. We're going to try to see if we can pull off doing a live sometime soon. I don't know if our internet will support it. We have never tried one before, but we'd like to.
Yep.
I think it'd be fun. So we're going to see if we can try that soon. Fingers crossed it works out. So we're going to go now. And I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to go eat because I'm hungry. And we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.